Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My story, my brother, it goes on like this. When I was still young, my parents, they both passed away, and then I started staying with my auntie. It was a painful thing one night when my auntie sat down with me. She called me to her bedroom. When she called me to her bedroom, she was holding this other clay pot. She told me that inside this clay pot, there were a lot of souls, and most of these souls, there were souls that belonged to her relatives. In turn, they were my relatives as well. She said that she was made to join this ritualism thing when she was very young. At that time, she said that when she was only in standard 2, that was when she was made to join this ritual thing, and she became a witch. And when she became a witch, as she got older, she started sacrificing one amongst her own relatives until she had finally finished off all of her entire relatives. At that time, when she finished off all of her entire relatives, I was now staying with him. So she said, if anything happens to me, daughter of my brother, I want you to take care of this clay pot, because this clay pot is the one that is going to take care of you. Anything that you are going to require, this clay pot is going to give it to you. You treat it like it is your God. And when you say God, this shall be your God. Inside this clay pot is everything that you want. Well, I was very young, my brother, because when she started teaching me all of this weird stuff, I remember that I was only 12 years old. Most of the things that she used to teach me, they just come here and there. Since like these things, they happened a very long time ago, but some of the things that I remember when she was making me to become a ritualist, we used to drive along Simon Mazorodze Road. Then my auntie, she would randomly pick up any guy, and my auntie, the woman that I am speaking about, she is someone who was wealthy. She was a wealthy businessman. Well, at night, we would randomly drive. Then she would pick up someone along Simon Mazorodze Road. Then she would bring over that guy back to her place. And most of these guys, when they would see that my auntie is a wealthy woman, they would agree to date her. Then that guy, slowly, the guy will start to deteriorate. I still remember that we once picked up this guy. When my auntie stopped for this guy, the guy then told my auntie that he was on his way going to Chitungiza. This guy, he was traveling on a bicycle, so he was using that Chitungiza road. And then my auntie stopped for him as if she was a friendly woman. Then my auntie told that guy to load the bicycle at the back of her SUV. The guy was really thankful. Then we started driving with that guy, and we went with the guy at the place where he was staying in St. Mary's. Then we dropped him there. We were not even going to Chitungiza, but my auntie, she was just hunting for her next victim, because soon after sleeping with a guy, my auntie, she was really powerful. The guy will start to get sick, but slowly deteriorating. This guy, he was working at this other clothing company. Whilst he was working there, he was dealing with a lot of chemicals that they used in dyeing, those denim jeans. That is where he used to work there in Willowville when the industries were still in operating condition. Then after this guy had so when we dropped this guy, my auntie kept on picking up this guy, until finally one day this guy had the nerves. After we had picked him up, he then asked my auntie if she was married. Then my auntie started to pretend as if she was embarrassed. Then she said, "No, my dear, I am not. Why are you asking?" Then that guy said that, "I want you to be mine." Then auntie started blushing, but it was just fake. All of it was fake. My auntie had done this. She said that she had done this more than 1,000 times. This guy unfortunately fell again into my auntie's clay pot, and his soul was forever trapped into my auntie's clay pot. Then what happened later on was that I regularly saw this guy. Sometimes he would never return back to his wife. In his mind, this guy thought that maybe he had now finally found a woman who was going to pull him out of poverty. But my auntie's demons were slowly sucking the soul out of his body. One day, this guy, he came and I saw that he was not okay. He was coughing blood, my brother. He was coughing blood, and that was when he saw that my auntie never cared for him. When he came, my auntie asked him why he was coughing like that. He then said that at work he had done a mistake. He had actually swallowed those chemicals that they were using when they were like dyeing the denim jeans, and that was making him to cough. My auntie tolerated him for the first night. Then the second night, whenever this guy will be coughing in my auntie's bedroom, I would hear actually my auntie insulting this guy a lot, until finally one night when he got really sick, that was when my auntie called me. My auntie called me into her bedroom. I went there and I found out that my auntie, she was wearing like a very long black dress that I had never seen her wearing. And back in those days, a lot of women, they didn't keep these long nails like they do now, but those were the nails that would just appear on my auntie's left hand every now and then. And whenever I see a woman wearing those long nails, I always remind myself of my auntie, how she used to look. These nails, they would appear, then they would disappear. They would only appear whenever she would be doing that ritual. That guy, he was just lying helplessly on the bed. He was really sick, that guy. He was coughing blood, and each and every time that he would cough blood, you would actually see tears flowing out of his face because of the pain. When you see a man crying out of pain, he is really in pain. What I did on that night, I don't think that you can even publicize it here on YouTube. It is really nasty. After we had performed that ritual, me and my auntie, we then carried that man. My auntie, she was not a very big built woman. She had quite a small body, but she had this other strength. No human had that strength that my auntie had. My auntie just said, "Help me." When I failed to hold that man, then my auntie grabbed that man. Then she started dragging that man towards the car. Then we went and we placed this man at the back of my auntie's car. Then we started driving. When we started driving, it was just after 6 p.m. By the time that we reached St. Mary's, it was just a little bit dark. We just dumped this guy close to this other place where there was a beer hall. We dumped him there. Then we started driving back. I said, what about this guy? What if he's going to die? My auntie then said that there is no way that he is going to die. This guy, he won't die until he has finally reached the place where his kids and his wife are. I then asked my auntie, what about the rituals that you have made me to do? Then my auntie told me that from now on, you are not allowed to sleep with a man until I have told you so. From that day, I started sleeping with boys. Whenever my auntie will say that this one, I want you to sleep with him, it's either my auntie would have seen that the boy has a star on his forehead, so it will be that star that my auntie will be chasing after. Mind you, my auntie, she was a big businesswoman. She used to even host a lot of big people that I can't even mention their names. It doesn't matter if these big people were like your Christians. She used to host them at her house, as well as some politicians. They used to come, and I grew up in that environment whereby I was surrounded by a lot of big people. Even now, most of the businesses that I do, I am always in connection with a lot of these big business people because they knew my auntie. But what they didn't know was that my auntie was an occultist. My auntie used to perform all of these dark rituals, and a lot of these big politicians that she would call so that they can have a dinner at her house, before they would have come, then my auntie, she would take maybe a pot. Let's say if we would be cooking meat, then my auntie will say, go with that pot to my bedroom. So I'll be in the kitchen. I'll carry that pot to her bedroom, and she will never touch this pot until that minister or whoever, a politician, would have came and eat that dinner at our place, then I would go and place that pot full of meat in my auntie's bedroom. Then I would wait for her outside. Later on, then my auntie, when she would come out of her bedroom, I'll see that there would be sweat all over her body, as if she was steaming herself with the steam that was coming out of that pot. Then she'll say, returning back to the kitchen. Then we would continue cooking, and I don't know what type of rituals she was doing when she was doing all of these things. Then when my auntie passed on, she had already placed this clay pot in another house, one of the house that she donated to me before she had passed on, and I had to wait for a year. And throughout the year, I had to do some nasty stuff. I did a lot of nasty stuff that I feel ashamed about. Well, my brother, what I will do is that I used to go and I would wait in different spots whereby a lot of people, they hike, and when I would go there, I would just pretend as if I am a desperate woman. So the goal was that any man that will pick me up should take advantage of me. I had to do this for 365 days. I was moving around the country. A man would pick me up and drop me maybe in Lawayo, Kwekwe, and I was just going around with no money in my pocket. A rich woman had brought me up, but for a year, soon after she had passed away, I had to live as if I was a homeless woman. And after those days had finally ended, that was when I saw my auntie. I was sleeping in town, and when I was sleeping in town, I then saw my auntie. She walked past through me. I then saw my auntie. She walked past me and she said, "It is fine. You are now free to sleep with whomever you want to sleep with." So right now, what I do is that I am still going on with this work that was left behind for me by my auntie. I did that, and at first I was enjoying it. I enjoyed the control that I had over men. But now, my brother, I feel like I am tired. I want to get married. Unlike my auntie, she had kids, but I do not have any kids at all. I do not know why, and I don't have anyone to ask this question to. This oracle, it does not respond to any of my questions. I have tried to speak with the oracle. I have tried to speak with this clay pot that was left behind for me by my auntie, but it does not respond to me. It has never responded to me. The last time when I tried to enter into a relationship, like, I am someone who is surrounded by a lot of rich families, so there was this other relationship that I got involved in. It was just an organized relationship. Me and that guy, we then started dating. When we started dating, Brother Nashi, this man, he started experiencing a terrible time in his life. It was really terrible. He was robbed. There was a robbery after a robbery at his bachelor's apartment. Then, my brother, there was even a time when he almost got stabbed. He was actually walking out of this other club, and when he was walking out of that club, that was when they saw that there was this other guy who was busy beating up the girlfriend. When he asked what was going on, that was when the guy said that, "So you are the one who has been dating my girl." Then the guy was holding a knife. By the time that this guy wanted to stab him, he had actually ran back to his car, and the guy came and stabbed the windscreen. There was a big hole on the windscreen. This guy wanted to end his life. When I saw that this was what was happening, I tried to stay with him, and I was just testing the waters to see if I will be able to live with a man that I had fallen in love with. But my brother, I started bleeding the day that he came and picked me up. Whilst we were on our way going to Rua, where he comes from, I saw that I was bleeding, and I didn't even had a sanitary pad on. By the time that we reached his place, I saw that I had messed up my whole skirt. It was full of blood. I was bleeding. I told him that I was bleeding. Well, as a man who cared, he tried to take care of me. The first day, the second day, the third day, I said, finally, today, then this menstrual cycle would have finished, but it continued, my brother. The day that I said, let me return back to my place, along the way, that was when this menstrual cycle, the periods, they just stopped. Right now, I am tired. My auntie when she left me with this clay pot, she never told me where she got this clay pot. She just said that anything that you ask from this clay pot, it is going to give you. But I have realized that it can only give me material things. Oh, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our listeners. Then we had to give you that translation. Hey,